Is the mic on? Episode 146. What's wrong with Orny Adams? This scares me for somebody that travels as much as I do and in and out of different countries. You know, it's just in Costa Rica. 3 women from Revere, Massachusetts, which is very close to where I grew up, died in Belize. I almost went to Belize, but my mom said, you know, check out Costa Rica. And so I'm thinking now, in fact, I'm not thinking, I just bought it. I bought a travel carbon monoxide poisoning detector to put in the hotel with me. So I know I don't end up dead in some other country. But here's the thing. I was reading reviews. The one I got, almost 90% 5-star reviews. But here's the deal. If it doesn't work, you're dead. So you can't review it. So can you trust these reviews? At the end of the podcast, I am going to discuss, this is an article from the New York Times. I loved it. Why dads take their gay sons to Hooters. It's sort of like a litmus test. It's what they describe as conversion therapy with a side of ranch. They're bringing their kids to Hooters to just, they suspect their sons are gay, and they bring them there to see if they act, I guess, gay. Now, I would have acted gay growing up if I thought my dad would have taken me to Hooters. What's wrong with Orny Adams? Episode 146. That is a false statement, by the way. I'm not into Hooters at all. Never was. I'm not taking some sort of moral high ground, but yeah, nobody took me to... Oh, guy in Sarasota got me this, a Bahamas shot glass with big Hooters on the other side. He may have been testing me. Guy paid $15 for this. Says, I love the Bahamas. Is that 15 Bahamian dollars? I'm going to bring this down. So for the guy that brought me the shot glass with the big tits on it, not my thing. These look very fake. I like natural. So much going on. This is going to be a hot mess today. Just got back from Sarasota and Boston, Massachusetts. I saw my family. I loved it. Loved seeing my family. Love Sarasota. Thank you, McCurdy's Comedy Club, for having me back. Sold out. And so many groups that come to see me. There's a group of 28, I'll call them seniors. I think they're in their 70s, maybe late 60s, and they get on a bus. It's my version of 80 for Brady. It's 70s for Orny, and they come to see my shows when I'm in Florida, like Sarasota or, that other place I played. And I think it's so cool. There were so many groups. I looked out on stage and I said, is this a group? It was like 30 people. I said, are you guys in like a community? They're like, no. And I thought, you're going to live forever because you have a group of friends. I don't have friends. I have no friends. I'm a loner. We're going to discuss that on this podcast. Being a loner, eating alone. We're going to discuss bowling alone and longevity and having a great group of friends. I had a great group of friends when I was in college, and I've never rebounded. I've lost, I live in a different world. I'm a stand-up comedian. I have a different lifestyle. I'm not on a Monday through Friday schedule. I'm on a Thursday through Sunday schedule. I travel. I'm never in one place. I've sacrificed a lot, probably more than I ever realized to be a stand-up comedian. And was it worth it? I don't know. I love what I do. This weekend I just had in Sarasota, if I could do this once a month, have this many people show up that get me, that get my sensibility, that know my comedy, that see me year after year, that listen to the podcast and reference a podcast, that bring me gifts. Look at this. Somebody brought me, I'm now a deputy in the sheriff's office in Manatee. Look at that. Law enforcement loves Orny Adams because I believe in enforcing the laws. I believe in playing by the rules. Then, is this thing even recording? What is going on? Why does it say? Then somebody brought me, by the way, I'd like to thank myself for editing this podcast, recording this podcast, finishing the audio, posting it, and everything. Somebody brought me this from Sarasota, a lovely maybe it's not even a flamingo. Maybe it's like a cockatoo or something. But love all. I don't know where I'm going to start putting all this stuff because I've got so much of this now going. And this guy, I think his name's Robert, comes every year, brings me gifts. I should know his name because he brings me gifts. Brought me a nice bottle of tequila. You want to be up for fan of the year? Bring tequila. Tequila or mezcal. I prefer mezcal, but I know a lot of you don't know how to shop for mezcal. He brought me a nice bottle of tequila, which he got when he was overseas. He said I think he was on a cruise, and then got me these shot glasses. Look how cool this is. It's just, I love this. I can't wait to use these. It says OA, which that stands for Orny Adams. And if you don't know that, underneath it, it says Orny Adams. So 4 of these. And I guess what the story is, he ordered one and they accidentally sent him 4. Now, if I were him, I wouldn't have told me that story. I would have just been like, yeah, I got your 4. Like, get credit for their mistake. I mean, who would get me 1 shot glass with my initials on it, my monogram and my name? Of course you get 4. What, you don't think I have friends? Yeah, is that what you think? I don't have friends? Well, you're right. I have nobody to share these glasses with. But I've got 4. So I'm gonna have a party with me and none of my friends. What do you think of that? Sarasota was such a lovely experience. The hotel's nice. The club is nice to me. It's sold out. The fans are respectful. They laugh. They get it. I can't wait to go back. If I could do this once a month in a different location, I'd be so happy. I'd be so happy. And I went on my first day. I got there early. I went to the Botanical Gardens, and I went to the. Every year they have a different featured exhibit. Last year it was Tiffany glass, and they replicate Tiffany glass as gardens. Like they'll take a stained glass with different colors and sort of plant flowers that look like it. It's very cool. This year it was the George Harrison exhibit at the Selby Gardens. And George Harrison, I didn't realize how cool this dude was. I didn't realize a lot of things. I didn't realize he had been stabbed 40 times and almost died. Like, how is somebody as tied to music as I am? How did I not know this story? Like, I remember hearing he was stabbed, but I didn't realize how. But, like, what do we need? A 4-part documentary that should be 2 parts? For me to realize this? And I know I've had friends that have discussed this with me, but it just never, like, do you have anything in your life that people have told you that you've heard, but it doesn't resonate? Like, why did some things bubble up and other things don't bubble up? Like, I should know that. I should research that. I should know the details. Guy almost died. I thought it was like a, flesh wound type stabbing. 40 times. Probably led to his death, according to people like Keith Richards. Because he had cancer. Cancer was in remission, going away, and then next thing you know, gets stabbed 40 times, and now your body has to deal with that instead of dealing with the cancer. Sounds like someone just got attacked by a dog outside my gate. That was wild. So I went to the Botanical Gardens, and it's so peaceful. I find peace walking around. I did 2 laps, talked to a lot of people. They have a whole orchid exhibit. I said, I have trouble keeping my orchids alive. I said to somebody working there, and they said, where do you live? And I said, Los Angeles. And she said, well, that's a whole other set of problems. Bah, 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 bah. Sick of people crapping on Los Angeles. All crap on Los Angeles. Not you. Not you. You don't even know what we're doing up here. And don't act like Florida is like higher up on the scale of places to live. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. If I lived in Sarasota, I would be a member of the Shelby Gardens, and I would go sit in the Botanical Gardens. It's a lovely place. You want to meet hot 80-year-old women, you got to go to the Shelby Gardens. I mean, it's just, there were some young ones there too. There was somebody in her 70s. I said, that's too Florida young for me. 70? I don't want people to think I'm creepy hitting on a Florida chick that's 70. A lot of old people there in Sarasota. I don't know where they hide the young people, but they're hidden. They hide them. So the trip starts out like this. I'm in Los Angeles. And I order an Uber to go to LAX to fly. And my Uber driver couldn't have been nicer. And we were talking, and turns out he's from Mexico. And he came here at 16. In his first job, he was a migrant grape picker. And he would pick, he had to fill up these tubs, these tote tubs that weighed 30 to 40 pounds, and he would get 13 cents. That's it. 13 cents for each tub he filled. He would do 150 a day. He made like 20 bucks a day. I said, did they feed you? He said, we were starving. Starving. Never enough food. They would stay, like on the property in very shitty conditions. Multiple people probably sleeping with bed bugs and roaches and rodents. And they would pick grapes. I said, did you eat the grapes? Yeah, we'd eat the grapes. But they'd give us a sandwich in the morning with one piece of bologna and one piece of cheese and 2 pieces of bread and nothing else. I said, it sounds like prison. And now he's driving Uber. And I can tell you he made more in a tip on that one ride than he would make a day picking. But that was years ago. And he said it was really tough on his back. And it makes you think, first of all, it makes you think about these tariffs, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Because Americans aren't doing that work. Okay? So the tariffs, I guess this is the theory. We're going to bring manufacturing back to America, more jobs back to America in a country where, as far as I can tell, nobody wants to work. The only people that want to work, we're deporting. So does this make any sense? I read a whole article about micro retiring. Social media trend drives more young adults to take micro retirements. This is Gen Z again, whatever a Gen Z person is. Wish we'd all wear hats. I don't even know what generation. Am I X? What am I? So this is from the article. There's something called the ceiling effect of human energy. I hit the ceiling years ago. This is when an employee's energy depletion reaches a tipping point due to their work and begins to affect their well-being. Yeah, I'd say that's me. I'd say my well-being has been affected by what I do. I mean, I posted a video from the Improv. Boy, did I have a show at the Improv on Saturday night. Did 40 minutes at the end of the show. And a guy in the front row was wearing like a leopard skin jacket. And I ended up putting it on. I took a video of it. And, the video at the Improv is okay. The sound quality is shit. So I bring my own recorder. I record the sound. Then I blend the two together. And I edit this video. It took me 5 hours to edit this video. 5 hours wasted of my life. Do you think I've reached the ceiling effect? I'm burnt. Can't wait for AI to do it all. When employees reach the tipping point or ceiling effect at work, they often use coffee or alcohol as a coping mechanism. This has long-term negative impacts on health. Sleep has also become a problem. You notice everybody has sleeping disorders now? When I was a kid, I never heard anybody mention that they couldn't sleep or they were up all night or they're tired. Nobody ever said they were tired. People just slept. You ate 3 meals a day. You didn't really snack. I don't remember anybody snack. Adults didn't snack. We had something when we came home from school. And nobody complained of sleep. We are a world of sleeping disorders. I'm just realizing this as I'm talking. It's like everybody's like, I can't sleep. I'm taking this. I'm taking that. I can't sleep. Why can't anybody sleep? Because we're miserable. Because this world has become a miserable place to live. And a lot of it is human created. The other thing, which is human created, is the internet, which has pulled us all together. And now we're focusing on problems all over the world. Something that happens over there, it's like that butterfly effect. Butterfly flaps its wings in Colombia. And next thing you know, our stock market is down. Or next thing you know, I'm not being booked at some comedy club. But it took me 5 hours to edit this video. And I put it up. And barely any views on TikTok. And people are laughing. I see comedy videos on social media. Nobody's laughing, but it gets tons of views. What are people doing watching comedy videos, stand-up videos there's no laughter. Am I missing something? Am I trying too hard? Is being funny a negative now in stand-up comedy? Is being structured a negative? So all this stuff, this tipping point of hitting the ceiling effect, leads to employees just showing up and being mummies. They're in a catatonic state. And this is a term I just learned today called presenteeism. So they're present, but they're not as effective. And this can cause businesses and lost employee productivity. In Australia, many employees are entitled to paid long service leave after serving between 7 and 10 years with the same employer. Well, that would never work here because we're a country that's all about big business. And we, the government, is elected by big business, and big business does not want to give paid vacation. So big business elects government serves big business doesn't serve us. We should get more vacation, but that's not happening here. I don't know how Australia gets away with it. In Belgium, a government program allows employees to take a career break of up to a year, during which they receive a paid allowance from the government. Again, not happening here. Previous research into this, they call it a scheme. I don't know why they call it a scheme, showed 76% of employees taking full-time career breaks from both public and private sectors were aged 25 to 49. Yeah, take a break. Everybody should take a break. And the government pays for it. Hey, Belgium, we can't even get our government to pay for our health insurance. Mine keeps going up and up and up. My health insurance is almost more than my mortgage. And my house gives me a lot. Well, thank God I don't have to use my health insurance. And now that I have a carbon monoxide detector to travel with, it's going to sit right. I'll show you. It's like it's going to sit right there on the nightstand next to me. The next thing you'll hear me complaining about is how I left it in a hotel room in Vegas or something. I will be in Vegas this weekend. All my tour dates, ornyadams.com/tour. I'll be in Las Vegas. Then I'm at the Ice House. You know, the usual. I'm doing flappers. Just check out where I'm going. Chicago. New date, downtown Chicago at the Den in May. So check out all this stuff because dates are added and added and added. Now, when I'm home, I love going home. I wanted to talk about this because what's happening is the Gen Z, I just want to finish this up. Gen Z is saying, screw it. I'm going to micro-retire. Is that what they called it? Micro-retire? I am going to micro-retire. So what they're doing is, these young kids, is they're quitting their jobs. To me, it's ballsy because you're on a career path. To me, it was, okay, career path 20s and 30s, and then figure it out in your 40s, make all your money, all that sort of stuff, and then retire. I could retire now. I'm choosing not to, but I'm doing something for my health. And maybe I'm inspired by Gen Z. But I take work when it comes in. I'm not seeking it. I'm not, out there calling and looking for it and begging for it like I used to and that sort of stuff. So I've changed. I've slowed down. But what they do is they make money, they retire, and then they live off it for their mental health. I kind of respect that. I think that's kind of cool, but I wonder where it leaves them in 20 years. And do they care? Like, since COVID, people used to be about work yourself to the bone, wake up every day, you make your money, and then you retire and enjoy life. They're sort of changing the format. Maybe that's healthy. I do think people work too much. I work too much, but I love it. I did a show Friday at the Laugh Factory, and I was buzzing so much afterwards. I was on such a high. It was like I was like a kid, giddy, driving home, going up the hill, weaving through these streets with what is that song? Gloria. Gloria, Gloria, ga 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 ga. What is her name? Brennigan or whatever? Laura Brennigan, who of course died when she was 53. And maybe she needed a carbon monoxide poisoning detector. I gotta remember how to say it. Carbon monoxide detector. I'm gonna start giving these out at my shows. Hey, bring those too. I'd like to have a bunch of those. I'd like to have 10 of them in my hotel room. I'd like those and bottles of mezcal. And I love this. Thank you for who brought me the plush toy of a flamingo. But is this going to save my life? I can't see how. So I did a show. I was closing the show at the Laugh Factory this past Friday. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm bringing the megaphones. And I'm going to hand them out. So I did about 10 minutes of material. I handed out the megaphones. And I'm telling you, I love this so much. In fact, I will be, this is on my tour calendar too, I will be at the Austin Moon Tower Comedy Festival, and I'm doing my podcast there. And it's in front of a live audience. I hope people show up. And I'm going to hand out the megaphones. And will be incorporating the megaphone into my shows and doing just full on the Orny Adams megaphone show from time to time. But it is fascinating. I'm going to edit a clip today with the Laugh Factory. There was a dentist in the front row, and I said, we're talking about the flossing. I go, is this a scam? It feels like you guys are in bed with big floss. He said, no, you need to get the stuff in between the teeth. I said, well, can you use a toothpick? I don't know why I said that. And he said, if the gap is big enough, and it got a huge laugh. And to see this guy that was shy speaking through a megaphone and a different part of him coming out. The one thing I've learned in this experiment, which I think, for me, takes some courage. So I'm proud of myself going outside of the box. You know, to quote Taco Bell, sometimes you got to think outside of the bun. And you see people, the one thing I've learned is people love to talk into a megaphone. They love going, blah, blah, blah. Oh, my megaphone's in the car. I'm ordering more megaphones. Bring megaphones to the show, too. Good one. So I want carbon monoxide detectors, mezcal, and megaphones. Just remember the 3 M's. Monoxide, megaphone, mezcal. Thank you. I've got so many of these plush toys. And by the way, how do I know there's not a listening device in here or a tracker? I got to be careful about these gifts. Shouldn't have said that. Now somebody's going to track me. So I get up, I go to Boston afterwards. So many thoughts. So many thoughts. Isn't that wonderful when you have so many thoughts and thoughts interrupt thoughts? So these Gen Z kids are like, screw it. I'm just going to live my better life. And the other people are hitting the ceiling, burning out, drinking tons of coffee at work, and then they can't sleep at night. You see the pattern? And this coffee might be killing you. Now there's a study. God, am I sick of these studies. That office coffee can raise your cholesterol level, the bad cholesterol level. Now, how does this happen? I've never heard of this before. I mean, these studies, they come and go. Remember there was a time when you weren't supposed to have the ice on airplanes, that it was all dirty and full of germs? What happened to that? Everybody's right back to the old ice again. So, where's the stuff on the coffee? Oh, so much to talk about on this podcast. We're going to run out of time. It's so much fun. We have so much to say. Your office, this is a new study out of Sweden. Your office coffee maker could be filling your mug with harmful compounds. Since the 1980s, scientists have known that unfiltered coffee can raise LDL, low-density lipoprotein cholesterol, the bad shit, the kind associated with heart disease risk. Coffee machines at work could raise that cholesterol. Most coffees from workplace. Now, why is this? How is this possible? How is this different, you're asking? Hey, Orny, how is this different than the coffee you just brewed for yourself? I feel my cholesterol not going up. Why is that? Because in the Orny Adams office, we use paper filters. Most coffees from the workplace brewing machines contain higher ditterpene concentrations. You go, oh, what's a ditterpene? Hey, Orny, what's a ditterpene? And you know I know. Diterpenes are a group of terpenoids commonly found in terrestrial and marine organisms. Now, you can ask me that again tomorrow when I don't have this piece of paper in front of me, and I won't know what to say. So the office coffee machines have higher diterpene concentrates than paper filtered coffee, but lower than unfiltered coffee. Figure that out. These Swedes. Now, this has been around since the 1980s. Why am I just reading about this now? Based on their findings, researchers estimate that switching from 3 cups of machine coffee to paper-filtered coffee during the workday could potentially reduce your LDL cholesterol by 0.58 mmol. Nobody knows what that means, which translates to 36% lower cardiovascular disease risk over a 40-year career. This is why these kids, Gen Z kids, are quitting, because you're using metal filters in the office. Think about an espresso machine, how the coffee goes on that metal thing. Well, that increases, because that filtration is not as good, your bad cholesterol. The metal filters commonly used in brewing machines have larger pores compared to paper filters, allowing more diterpenes to pass through. These researchers also noted considerable variation between samples from some of the same machines taken weeks apart, suggesting that cleaning machines might affect their filter porosity. Ironically, holy cow, we've got something ironic coming in this big coffee study. Cleaning a metal filter might actually increase its permeability, allowing more diterpenes. How many times am I going to say diterpenes into your cup? For coffee lovers, there's no reason to panic or abandon your beloved beverage. Paper, filtered coffee, whether drip brewed or home from liquid model workplace machine, appears perfectly safe. So if you work in an office where they're feeding these diterpenes, you got to tell them. You got to say, hey, I was listening to the Orny Adams podcast. What's wrong with Orny Adams? And he's telling me you're poisoning me. You're increasing my cholesterol level because of the diterpenes. I come to the office to make money and be in a safe environment. You want me to, I don't work from home like a lot of people. I come into the office and you're feeding me diterpenes. What the diterpene is going on? So I go home to Boston, Lexington, visit my family. I love it. We have a routine. We wake up early. My dad and I are downstairs at 7 a.m., which is 4 a.m. LA time. And we have, he has tea, I have coffee, and we have some sort of breakfast and read the paper. And I have a bunch of articles that, and I know I said, I'm never going to read again, blah, 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 blah. But I love the routine. And my family lives in a community. They're much like these people in Sarasota. They have a group of friends, which I envy. I have no friends. My neighbor's fallen apart since COVID. Nobody really communicates. We don't hang out like we used to. In fact, a lot of people I used to go out with no longer go out. People are staying home. They're isolated. They can't sleep. They're miserable. They have no friends. We live in an unhealthy world. Now, why is this? Because the outside world sucks so much. Who wants to go out? You go out, nobody says hi. People record you. You could end up on somebody's prank video. Somebody's, I'm trying to get views, experiment in the street. And when you read about Bowling Alone, which was written by this guy named Putnam, it's a fascinating book, how the breakdown of groups in society, church groups, bowling groups, Kiwanis or whatever these groups are, these bridge groups, religious group, whatever it is. There were groups. I grew up and there were groups. We were part of groups. It's gone away. There's no adult groups. The group is you on your couch watching streamers, which isn't healthy. Not healthy. It's gotten bad. And there's a community when I go. My parents have friends. You know, somebody was coming over to borrow. We have this huge coffee maker. Oh no, we're giving out the diterpenes. I think it's got a metal. Oh, it's like this big percolator. It like makes 50 cups of coffee. We're the only one in the group that has this. So people are constantly coming over. It's in the original box, and they take it if they're having a get together. You know, there's a baby shower. Well, get the Dittermean coffee maker from us. So somebody comes over. It's a sense of community. There was a neighbor that had bridge chairs. We never had enough bridge chairs when we had a bunch of people. So we'd have to go over to the neighbors and get the bridge. There was a sense of community. Now it's like, F you. I'm going to stay on my couch. I'm going to watch streamers. I can get, because of the lack of tariffs, I can get chairs made in China for 15 cents. So I'll have my own chairs. I don't need you. I'll have my own Dittermean coffee maker over here. I don't need you. By the way, that's all going away. Like, I was in Target yesterday, and there's a whole section of like these little $3 and $5 little trinket stuff that obviously comes from overseas. That's coming into an end. We put tariffs, that is coming to an end. Also read that because of the tariffs, and I'm not being political, I'm just stating facts. If you have a 401k or you're heavily invested in the market, you are getting clobbered because of these tariffs. And one person or this country is putting tariffs on other countries, and they are not buying American goods anymore. They're boycotting. We're going to be in a lot of trouble. People are boycotting American goods, and they're not going to travel this country. There's a lot of Canadians that come down here. I go to Maine in the summer. There's tons of these Canadians. The Canadians are not going to Maine this summer. I'm doing shows this summer in Portland, Maine in August. It's on my calendar, ornyadams.com/tour. I'll probably get a hotel room cheaper because there's less people going on vacation in Maine, but less people are going to come to my shows. And then I'm not going to sell as much merchandise afterwards. And then the t-shirts that I sell, they're going to go up in price by 25% because of the tariffs. And people are boycotting America. America, when I was a kid, was revered. People like wanted to be us. They wanted to wear our jeans. They wanted to listen to our music. And in my short little lifetime, this has changed. This has changed. I don't understand some of our policies. I think it's going to come to the point where we're going to force countries to call soccer soccer. You call soccer football, well, we're going to do bad shit to you. This is how absurd it's getting. I read an article, some guy busted for OUI. This drives me nuts. I hate when we change. I don't like when homeless become unhoused, there's a million examples. But when I was a kid, it was DWI, driving while intoxicated. Then it became DUI, driving under the influence. What's the difference? There's no difference. You drink too much mezcal, you get in the car, it's DWI or DUI. Now they're calling it OUI, operating a motor vehicle, operating under the influence. Then there's OMVI, operating a motor vehicle impaired. There's OVI, operating a vehicle impaired. There's operating a vehicle impaired, operating a motor vehicle impaired. I mean, it's like, what is going on? Ohio law has removed the motorized component of this offense. They went from OMVI to OVI. This is the most expansive of terms used by Ohio to date for the offense of drunk driving. It's just drunk driving. Call it drunk driving. When a jury is given the definition of the offense they are deliberating, there is much less for them to have to question or debate. What, juries were having trouble with drunk driving? With driving while under the influence? Yeah, this is bullshit. Making a prosecutor's chance of conviction greater than in a previous iterations of the offense. So you're saying juries couldn't figure out driving while intoxicated or driving under the influence? They needed operating a vehicle impaired? That, to me, impaired, that could be you're texting and driving. That could be your ADD. I mean, like, I go through life impaired. But I'm not drunk. I'm just sick of the crap. It's semantics. It's bullshit. Ugh, all these different definitions. I want to talk about the bullfighters. I got so much to talk about. I'm watching a documentary about these bullfighters from 2017. So let's go over a couple of these articles fast. Okay, here's the other thing. Okay, so that's what I just talked about. Business section, New York Times, March 24th. Shoppers boycotting U.S. goods. Need glasses for this print. Can you read the New York Times without glasses? Yeah, so they're just, I don't need to discuss it. I discussed it already. I look for interesting things in the newspaper. I thought this was interesting. This is from Thursday, March 27th. My parents still get the printed newspaper. I don't. I read it online. And then most of the articles in the print it's old news. I read it yesterday. So I see this picture of this guy. I go, what is this, Groundhog's Day? Who's this guy? Who's this young chap? Can you see it? Soviet agent, Western mole, and global rescuer dies. Oleg, I'm not even going to say his last name, was a top KGB agent in London until he defected to the West in 1985 and revealed himself as a longtime double agent for British intelligence, making him one of the most highly placed Western spies during the Cold War. Was found dead at his home. That sounds suspicious. Did he have a carbon monoxide detector? The British Foreign Intelligence Agency, MI6, first recruited Mr. G in 1974 when he was based in Copenhagen. In 1982, he moved to London, where the KGB tasked him with sending disinformation about Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher before the next year's general election. Boy, does that sound familiar. Misinformation. But this is what I found interesting about this article and why maybe it's good to have double spies. Maybe we need more doubles. Is that what it's called? Double spies? Double agents. That's what I'm going to name the podcast. Double agents. We need more double agents, because listen to this. He also played a crucial role in preventing what could have been World War III. By the early 1980s, the Soviets were convinced that the United States was planning a first strike nuclear attack under the guise of a major NATO exercise. A suspicion underlined by President Ronald Reagan's bellicose rhetoric. Mr. G was in a unique position to work both sides. So this was a double agent doing good. He was able to persuade Moscow that an attack was not in fact imminent, while also communicating Soviet fears to the British and the Americans. As a result, Mrs. Thatcher and Mr. Reagan paired back. I like to call them Margaret and Ronnie, paired back their language and future military exercises with being more limited in both. All this remained a secret for years afterwards, and in the meantime, Mr. G had to watch his own back. In 1985, he was recalled to Moscow. They brought him back. They suspected something was going on, but I guess where he served as a greater spy for the United Kingdom in the West was he was able to out other spies. I think it's just fascinating, all the spying. I'd like to live in a world where we don't have to spy on each other, where I don't have to think maybe my fans are putting listening detectors and tracking devices on my plush toys. Here's another article, why you can't trust people. This guy, the title is From Melted Licorice to a Counterfeit Antiques Trial in France. Bill Pallet, it's French, so it's maybe Bill Palot. This guy had an unparalleled passion for, ready for this, 18th century French chairs. How do you develop a passion for 18th century chairs? I've never seen a chair and thought, I got a passion for this. So he became an expert. He wrote a book on it, which became like the ultimate guide. He turned a lucrative career into consulting with museum galleries, collectors, and the Palace of Versailles. He became a fixture in Parisian society and a celebrity in the art world until he was felled by a former student. He was felled. Is that like shuttered? Was he shuttered by a former student? It's always the student. It's always the mentee that takes down the mentor, isn't it? At the height of his powers, Mr. Palot's expertise, I wonder if Mr. Palot ate croissant. Mr. Palot's expertise and assurance of authenticity helped convince French experts to designate multiple items as national treasures. Guy also sold stuff up. He attested to the authenticity of seating, another way to call them chairs, said to have belonged to Marie Antoinette and Louis XV and Madame de Berry. This guy sold stuff to Versailles that I think was fake. Wrote a book called The Art of the Chair in 18th century France. This guy wrote a book. I don't think there's a title of a book that has less of a chance of being read by me than this. The Art of the Chair in the 18th century France. This guy wrote an entire book about chairs. What a loser. Now Mr. Pella is perhaps best known as using his knowledge of art history to hoodwink some of the most esteemed antique experts. So what happened was this student starts to get suspicious, going, wait a minute, there's too many, all of a sudden there's too many chairs on the market. What's going on? There can't be this many chairs from the 18th century that this guy's authenticating. And so this guy, the student, Mr. Horman, spelt wrong. It's H-O-O-R-E-M-A-N. Should be W-H-O-R-E-M-A-N. If it's going to be a whore, spell it right. In 2018, Mr. Horman told Vanity Fair that he considered Mr. Palot his hero after attending his art history lectures in Sorbonne. He later entered the same profession as his teacher, but he became suspicious of his mentor based on conversations with a buyer and about the quantity of antiques surfacing. As far back as 2012, Mr. Horman said he had seen two folding benches that were being touted as having belonged to Princess Louise Elizabeth. And boy, do we all want to get our hands on those folding benches. The eldest daughter of King Louis XV. He felt compelled to test them. He said, I licked the chair. Now, I don't want to ever be in a profession where I have to lick a chair, especially one that's been around since the 18th century, even if it's a fake. And the chair tasted like licorice. And he said, melted licorice is known to give new wood an old feel, and these counterfeiters do that. So how did Bill go from writing this riveting book, The Art of the Chair in the 18th century in France? Boy, can't put that down. That's a page turner. To counterfeiting. Well, what happened was he and a colleague thought, well, I wonder if we can counterfeit chairs. I wonder if we can fool people. And now the guy's on trial and probably will go to jail. Good. Read a whole article about people eating alone, where flying solo isn't appreciated. Did you know I eat a lot of my meals alone, and I didn't realize I wasn't being appreciated. But I'm on the road a lot, and I eat alone. The other thing is, I don't have a big group of friends. I'm not like these people in Florida. I try and make friendships with people, but it's difficult because everybody I know doesn't sleep. They have mood swings. You know, one day they're making plans, the next day they're not making plans. It's too much. They're too much. Reservations for solo dining in the United States has risen by 64% since 2019, according to Open Table, and 21% from 2022 to 2023, according to Reezy. Why couldn't we have Open Table tell us what happened from 2022 to 2023? The increase in eating alone is probably even greater, given that many people simply walk in. That's right. Who's making a reservation for one? I eat alone all the time. I just walk in. Pretend like, I didn't know I was going to be eating here alone. I'm eating alone. Okay. Yeah. Okay, several diners described the experience of entering a restaurant, hoping to treat themselves to a relaxing meal, then feeling guilty for taking up space or fearful that they're being judged by everyone around them. That's how I feel. I feel judged. I feel weird taking up a two-top, knowing that the waiter is going to get 50% of what they would have gotten if I had a guest. Some date. You know, my dates, they love to overorder. They love to, when I'm paying, they love to get a couple of appetizers, couple extra glasses of wine, dessert. When you dine alone, they never ask if you want dessert. They want you the hell out of there. They're never like, anything else? They're like, time to go. Wrap it up, loser sitting alone. When you walk in by yourself, this is what one person said, the look on the host or hostess's face changes, said Rajika Shah, a lawyer in Los Angeles. Well, maybe I should be dining with Rajika, who used to dine alone frequently as she moved often for work and wanted to explore local dining. Miss Shaw, 51, why did I have to put her age? Said she is often led to the worst table in the dining room, neglected by her server, and then rushed out the door at the end of the meal. Yeah, no dessert for her. She blamed the tipping system. Because workers are reliant on tips, she said they may be less attentive to those who spend less than groups. And that is absolutely true. Because this country, go to other countries, they don't seem so concerned about the tip or how much you order. But here, it's please order a lot. Please order more than you could ever eat in one meal. Please order the most expensive wine. And please get the fuck out. Fast. Even the menu can be exclusionary. Shareable small plates dominate many menus. Yeah, that's a point I never thought about. Yeah. Scientist. Now, I eat alone. I'm going to give a fact that I'm part of a group. Oh, and people, I tend to like eating at casual restaurants. Like when I'm in Vegas this weekend, I'll be at the Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club. I go to the Cheesecake Factory in the Caesars Forum area, and I eat alone. I get a meal. I eat it at the bar, and then I get a meal to go. One restaurant, this prick, I don't want to even say the guy's name, he doesn't even allow people to eat alone. In fact, he said, if you want to eat alone, you can eat in the bar. It's a fine dining restaurant, and the bar has no seats. So if you want to eat alone, you feel bad enough as a human. You just want to have some dignity. He says, oh, go stand in the bar and eat. That's a prick move. Scientists have long examined the negative impacts of solitude, but studies on how it can be peaceful, thank you, self-esteem building, thank you, experience are rarer, she said. The 2025 World Happiness Report. They got to do a study on me. They got to do a piece on me, the World Happiness Report. Published last week by the University of Oxford's Wellbeing Research Center, suggests that solitary activities, including solo meals, can lead to depression, oh no, and shorter life experiences. Dr. DiPaolo also pointed to a recent highly circulated article in The Atlantic. Oh, it's so circulated, I didn't see it. The Antisocial Century, which links practices like solo dining to reclusion and loneliness. Yeah, we are bowling alone. Putnam, I don't care how you repackage it. The Antisocial Century. We are bowling alone. DiPaolo finds that conclusion. People who are lonely are going to stay home, she said. They are not going to go out to a restaurant. Yeah. Well, listen to this fact. This sobering fact. This group I belong to, and I don't know why I belong to this group. I don't know why I didn't end up married, and it's not over for me yet. I know a lot of you have counted me out. I know a lot of you are thinking of taking me to Hooters, but, I might find the right woman, but I'm not going to settle because I don't mind dining alone most of the time. I've never made a reservation for one. At a time when 46.4% of American adults are single. 46.4%. 46.4% of adults are single. How did this happen? How? This is fascinating. This needs to be studied. I don't know how I ended up single. I know I was working my ass off. I know I was on the road a lot, but I could have found somebody that was accommodating. But I think we've all become so like, I'm going to do what's best for me. I'm going to care about my life. Everybody's become so centric. There's no budging. And as you get older and you date older, people are so set in their ways. There's no budging. 46.4. I'm rounding it up to 47. I know you're supposed to go down to 46, but I'm not. According to a 2020 census, and many couples are sleeping or even living separately. So even the people that are coupled up aren't even happy. So why shouldn't it be socially acceptable to dine alone? It should be. It should be. It should be. I know a lot of people look down on people like me that never got married. I had some really beautiful relationships, long-term relationships with women that I still keep in touch with and still care for. And it just wasn't right for long-term for whatever reason, which is fine. And if I found the right person, I could settle down because listen, I'm not a player. I'm not really good at dating. I don't try that hard. It's sort of like if the apple falls from the tree into my hand, I'm going to eat it. So, I don't know, but that's sobering. That's kind of sad that so much of the world, you know what's even sadder? Why? It's raining out, but somebody's blowing leaves. Like, how effective could that be? Mushy, damp leaves being blown. Take the day off! Watching this, I think it's from 2016, 2017, about bull riders, and it's fascinating. It really is. Because it's a whole other world I know nothing about. Part of me feels like it's cruel to the animals. That's what happens if you get older. You become empathetic. And you know what empathy is not good for? Jokes. You gotta lack a little bit of empathy to tell jokes. I told a joke the other day on stage and it chilled the room because it lacked empathy. But it's a thought I had in my head and I gotta just say it. Anyway, empathy ruins jokes. So these bull riders, I think this is interesting. All they do is they just have to stay on this thing for 8 seconds, which feels like a ridiculously short amount of time. But when you watch it, this thing's bucking. Now, I don't know why the bull is so intent on throwing the human off it, but it is. And the bulls have interesting names like airtime because you want the bull to get as much air as possible to buck you. Buck, buck, buck. Because 50% of your score is how the bull performs. So if you have a shitty bull or a bull that has an off day or a bull that ain't bucking, you're not going to get a good score. And a lot of these bulls, this is what made the documentary interesting. A lot of the bulls come from Brazil and they're competing head to head with Americans. And they're beating Americans. They've got new technique and the score is subjective. So a lot of the Brazilians believe they're getting shittier scores because they're Brazilians. There's one bull rider I related to. The other bull riders seem very social. They're barbecuing at the end of the night. They take their kids to like day activities during they travel all over the world, and there's like a fair involved. And the big one ends in Vegas. That's the one everybody wants to win. And this one bull rider just stays in his room all day focusing on the bull ride. That's how I am with stand-up comedy. That's why I related to this. I'm paralyzed all day. Absolutely paralyzed. Waiting for my shows. Anyway, I have a bunch of notes, but that's sort of the gist of it. I like when a documentary or I see something, read something, and it opens me up into a new world. And that's what this bull riding or this F1 racing, I don't even enjoy the races, but I enjoy the drama behind it. And I enjoy how enthralled people are by it. You know, I went into stand-up comedy because I liked saying things and getting a reaction, but I also really enjoyed seeing people laugh. I enjoy it every night, this look in their eyes, when they make a connection, when they're on board with you. And sometimes they're not on board. You know, I was running this whole bit about sharks this weekend and how I don't like sharks. I mean, Costa Rica, they got crocodiles in the water. I respect crocodiles because they'll actually eat us. They'll enjoy us. Sharks seem to bite us once, go, I don't want it, spit us out and go on their way, and then we end up bleeding to death. Well, what? We don't taste good, sharks? Something wrong with us? You guys eat garbage. Sharks eat garbage. You eat crustaceans. You eat, what, the dolphin tastes better than the human? Like, I resent the shark for this. And I said this on stage, and very few people agreed with me or laughed. Hey, I'm going to wrap it up with the article called Why Dads Take Their Gay Sons to Hooters. Because much like bull riding, this opened up a whole world I was unfamiliar with. And it makes sense. And it's sad at the same time. But before I get into it, I want to thank you guys, the listeners of What's Wrong with Orny Adams. This is episode, what are we up to, 146? I've done 146 of these. And I'm podcasting alone. A lot of people are bowling alone. I'm podcasting alone. I do it alone because I just got tired of asking people. And I got tired of, inviting people up and them canceling or saying they would or being distant or whatever. It made me feel a sense of rejection. So I taught myself how to do it alone. And again, 46% of the world is single. And then the people that aren't single are sleeping in separate beds. So there's something to this aloneness. And it's not a choice I made. I don't think. Maybe I did. Maybe I made poor decisions. I don't know. But thankfully, the people that pass this podcast on, that come to my shows and quote the podcast, I just thank everybody that listens to my comedy. I've got another meeting tonight about shooting another special, so stay tuned. Come see me live, because every live show is so different. I mean, you watch what happened with this guy. He was wearing a leopard skin jacket, and I asked to wear it. And this other guy was upset by my yellow shoes on stage, so I told him I'd take the shoes off because I didn't want to trigger him. It's something happens when you're in a room full of people enjoying an experience in real time. It doesn't work on tape as much, but I really encourage you to come see a show. I don't know how to get the word out. I don't know how to make my clips more seen. I'm trying. I do everything myself because nobody else, no AI could ever edit the clips the way I do. And I'm editing for perfection. Unfortunately, many people are not watching for perfection. They're watching 10 seconds, they move on. They watch 3 seconds, they get a notification for something else, and they go on to that. So I exist in a different world, and I can only be who I am. And if that means I'm podcasting alone and eating alone, and if I bowl alone, so be it. This was from the New York Times, March 23rd, 2025. Why dads take their gay kids to Hooters. This guy, Peter Rothpletz, wrote this article. Taking a sip. It was an annual tradition every Thanksgiving. I would fly down to Florida before the rest of my family. My grandfather would pick me up at the airport. We'd talk about politics, my soccer season, and other stuff. But this particular trip, I was maybe 14 or 15, and in ways I could not yet name, it was becoming apparent that I was not like most boys. In other words, gay. My grandfather pulled off a sun-bleached stretch of highway to take me somewhere new. Hooters. Our waitress was tall, a brassy blonde, a caricature of the Hooters waitress. She was in her late 20s, and yet deep, with a deep yet indistinct Southern accent. And I could tell she clocked me almost immediately. It's got to be strange. Who knows if it was how I held myself or how my voice quivered or my eyes slid away from hers, but later in the meal, when this guy's grandfather got up to go to the bathroom, the waitress came over and comforted him. And she said, "You're perfect just the way you are, kid." And I didn't realize until I read this article, and neither did this guy, that so many kids that were suspected of being gay by their dads, their grandparents, or uncles are brought to Hooters to see how they react. They tell the waitresses, "Oh, flirt with him. Give him a kiss. Take a picture. Put your arm around her." And these poor gay kids, they feel out of it enough, which, ironically, again, the waitresses feel like scourges. You know what I mean? Like they're sort of treated like adjacent sex workers and looked down on, and they feel a kinship. This is all discussed in the article with these kids. And so he said, "Consider the delicious irony that a certain restaurant famed for its cleavage and chicken wings somehow became a sanctuary for young gay men. Conversion therapy with a side of ranch, speaking loosely, was the wry refrain I saw time and time again in my inbox." So he wrote an article, and he got contacted by so many people, he didn't even realize it. He said it was kind of an act of kindness, at least in theory. Their relatives could see young men struggling to hide an unspoken part of themselves. Or perhaps the boys merely did not care for the UFC fight that night. Either way, only once they were seated at a table surrounded by the din of ESPN and the stench of spilled lager did they understand the purpose of the meal. It was a baptism into manhood. One that would backfire beautifully. And, yeah, I mean, it's a whole world I didn't even know about. And they interviewed a Hooters waiter. She said, at a host of Hooters, employees echoed these accounts. Lucy Wilkinson, herself a queer woman, said she finds it heartbreaking. I do too. That's because I have empathy. Otherwise, I'd be making jokes about this whole... If I was 20, I'd have all these jokes about this article. She said it's heartbreaking when she watches fathers and grandfathers routinely drag in boys who didn't fit their idea of masculinity. They also said, she said, yeah. See, the waitresses have a kindred spirit with the boys who aren't quite right, because the waitresses are sort of looked down upon. And I didn't know this, but there's a lot of families that go to Hooters. Who's bringing their, sons and daughters and sitting there? I mean, there's plenty of places to get chicken wings, but this guy wrote this article because I think Hooters is going out of business. And now all these gay men are coming together going, hey, were you brought to Hooters? Were you exposed to this? This is like the parents giving their kids a Playboy to see, what they are, and if they react to it. It's interesting. I found this article refreshing because most of the world is sitting around talking about politics, and I'm sick of it. That's why we want to be alone. I don't even enjoy talking to people that have the same views as me. And I can't stand people that don't. And I'm trying to be tolerant. I just wonder, is anybody happy? Is Gen Z happy? These people that are slowly micro-retiring. I didn't talk about retiring when I was in 20s and 30s. I was there to make money, as much money as I could. I enjoyed working. I found a sense of purpose in my work. I woke up this morning. I sat around. I reread all these articles. I took notes. I put together a podcast. I feel good about it until I post it and it doesn't get the reaction that I love. But that's my own issue. I got to deal with that. That's my problem. That's what's wrong with Orny Adams. That's not your business. You guys don't have to show up at my shows with plush toys and mezcal and carbon monoxide detectors, although I wish you would. We're all dealing with shit. Life is hard enough. It's hard enough. And I am on this hamster wheel of, how many times are you going to hear me say, I'll be in Vegas this weekend. I'll be in Sarasota. I'll be in Chicago. It's the same thing year after year after year. And part of me is so lucky. I'm not this Uber driver that was picking for 13 cents a basket grapes. I've been blessed, and I know it. And I had an epiphany. During COVID, which I've never shared with you, that reshaped my entire philosophy about how I work. And I'm having a similar sort of thing going on now. And I'm not going to discuss it because, like what Bob Dylan said, sometimes you put something out there and you let people know and they try and destroy it. Episode 146.
What's his name, Kev?
Orny.
Thank you to everybody that listens to this podcast. You guys rule. The one thing I can tell you, and I know this podcast is serious at times, I love stand-up comedy. I love doing stand-up comedy. I love being on stage. I'm sick of airports. I'm sick of flying. I'm sick of the negativity in the world. And I know I make a living off of negativity, but there's a little wink. There's a little laughter in there. And we need to see some light. And I hope it turns around. Otherwise, I'm not micro-retiring. I'm getting the hell out. I'm going to Costa Rica where we got crocodiles in the water. And people don't seem to be working for tips. And they're not talking about politics all the time or their to-do list. They're just living in the moment. Now, will I be able to live in the moment later? No. I'll have to go take a nap now. Actually, I don't even feel that tired, but I'll eat a little something, and then I'll start editing this podcast. Come see one of my shows, ornyadams.com/tour. Thank you for all the emails, everybody. You know the email. You can directly contact me. What's wrong at ornyadams.com. We'll see you for 147.